everybody, it's Annabelle. It's been a hot minute since I made a YouTube video, but I wanted to make another one to talk about my portfolio. I'm currently a senior in high school, and it's December of 2019, and I've heard back from pretty much all the schools that I applied to except for 3 of them. I applied to MICA, SVA, and PRATT, and I got accepted into all 3 of them. This video is just going to be me talking about my portfolio and what I put in there, why I put it in there, and what things I did tell me to help give me an advantage over other candidates and why I got certain scholarships. So this video is for people who are interested in applying to art school or just looking at art school and kind of considering it, or maybe if you've already applied and you just want to see what other people put in their portfolios, then this video is for you. But take this with a grain of salt because this is just what I did to get in, and so I'm by no means an expert on any of these things. So yeah, enjoy. So the first piece that I want to talk about is, it's actually the first one that I put in my portfolio, and it is this sketchbook spread. I titled it Groovy, and if I have a picture, I will put the picture somewhere up. But basically what I wanted to say about this piece is just that I think it's really important that you show, especially if you're applying to art school, that you can draw figures and you can draw motion. And like, I see a lot of portfolios and a lot of things in my portfolio too, I made that mistake, are just like people being still and they don't really kind of like tell a story or like show emotion. And so I feel like drawing people in motion is one good way to like capture them. So the next piece that I want to talk about, and I think one of the big reasons that I got in, is it's this piece called Hazy. I don't have it with me right now because it was a commission, so it is in the hands of my client, but I did commissions for this wonderful story called Dracula's Awakening. I didn't get through the whole book, but I did put some of those commissions that I did in my portfolio, which I think really helped me. So it's definitely more of an illustrative piece, and I just want to talk about how because I'm applying to be an illustration major, I knew that like contrast and kind of like the graphic design aspects are really important, so I put the smoke as like a barrier between the 2 sides, so it's like dividing down the middle. And then the next piece that I put in my portfolio is called Divinity, and so basically the reason why I put that in my portfolio, it was another commission, and it was to show that I can do like lettering, especially hand lettering. It was a commission that I did because the client that I work for wanted me to do designs for his clothing brand, and his clothing brand is called Divine Progress. He wanted it to be more like graffiti and kind of like Chinese inspired, which is really good because I am Taiwanese and American, so I have that heritage. So that is why you see like the Asian girl kind of like squatting down and doing the graffiti, and also the Chinese characters up at the top. Normally I lean towards more like pastel, cohesive color schemes, and so this was kind of like a more contrasting and like more saturated color scheme. Another tip, go to portfolio day, get your portfolio reviewed by whatever colleges that you want to go to. Go get your portfolio reviewed by any college. I had my portfolio reviewed by like 3, and 2 of them I ended up not even applying for, but it was a good experience because it taught me what college admissions officers like to see and what they don't like to see. So the next piece that I want to talk about is actually on my wall right here. I can get it. So I went to MICA's summer program and I made this piece. This piece is called Little Red, and I made it this year. And it's alcohol markers and fine liners. Most of my stuff is alcohol markers and fine liners. Like, that's just what I work in. Another thing that I would recommend doing is definitely going to any summer programs for the colleges that you might be interested in. It's not the end of the world if like you can't afford it or you just don't have the time, but if you can and if you would like to, then definitely do that because it does give you a boost by saying that you are like interested in the college, especially like if you're considering applying to a college and you want to go to their summer program to find out like, is living at the college right for you? Maybe you want to find out about like the eating situation, the students who are there. It really helps. I kind of remade the Little Red Riding Hood story about what I was interested in at the time, which was Korean street fashion and also architecture, so I incorporated both of those into this piece. This is a Korean version of Little Red Riding Hood where her gun is the one called Little Red, and she kind of like hunts down these predatory men who are considered like the wolf at night. I really just like the cohesiveness of the color scheme and kind of like the composition and the way that I put everything together, and I think the composition is also a really important thing. Don't just have your characters like standing there in like dead air. It's really important to like show colleges that you can do backgrounds, and so that was another reason why I included this. Basically, I wanted my portfolio to be a lot of variety and showing them that I can do a lot of different things. So I did mostly people to show them that that is like what I'm most comfortable with, but I also included buildings as background. I also included things like animals, which you'll see later on, and patterns and cool stuff like that. So this piece is called Saturday Sunday, and it's my best and only oil painting that I have, and it basically shows that I can do oil painting and I can do realism, which I don't have a ton of in my portfolio just because I am aiming for illustration. I used very white for the highlights, and I really like the way that I did the cherries. It really makes them pop. And I just wanted to like draw your attention to the ice cream and make it seem like really there and really delectable. I think that if you have a couple of like subtle motifs running through your work of like just things that you like to draw a lot, that also kind of helps colleges get a feel of like who you are and what you like to draw or what you lean towards. And so for me, that's like desserts, flowers, girls, couples, stuff like that. It does help to have like some larger and some smaller pieces just to kind of like throw that in and be like, hey, I can work on a really large scale or I can work on a really small scale. So I think that does help. I also did not have any sculpture in my portfolio when I still got in, because I'm just not comfortable with like sculpture or clay at all, and I didn't have any like videos or anything like that or film, so I wanted to have variety, but I had variety in like a very small area of drawing and painting. So this one was watercolor, and I did it this year, and I called it What Could Be because it was about a girl that I was interested in at the time, and she always said that we would meet up and our first date would be at an aquarium, and it didn't work out, and I never got to see her, and so I did this piece when we were still in love, and I kind of had like this haze around it, and so I used this bluish tint to give it a sense of like this futuristic kind of like, I want to say vibe, a futuristic vibe. It's just to show that I can do watercolor and also that I can do backgrounds and sort of like comic-y things, because even though it doesn't have words in it, it's kind of showing like little slices of different parts of the aquarium, which I really like. And I didn't think about composition too much, but I did redo this piece because I did it the first time and the watercolor just did not like me at all. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna do it again. So definitely, if your pieces aren't turning out the right way, don't immediately scrap them, but if you feel like you could have done better, then if you have time, do them again. The next piece that I did is called Embellishments, and it's a realism about a clock. It was one of my AP Art summer assignments that I did, and I really wanted to show like the golden details of the clock and the shining highlights, and so I did very high contrast realism, which was a first for me, and it was mainly to show that I could do realism and that I could also work with pencils because it is a pencil drawing. This took me so many days to do, to finish. And it was a life drawing, so also do some life drawing. If you must like draw from reference, try and take your reference photos yourself. And it was basically just of a pocket watch that my brother had at the time. But I basically just focused on the different parts of it. So this is obviously like the main part of the clock, and then that is the little handle of the pocket watch, and this is the back of it because I thought that the back case was really cool. And this is my most zoomed in one, which is like the center of the face. So this is if you stand the pocket watch on its end and you close it, that's what it looked like closed. And this is another angle of the end of the chain of it, so it has a little loop so you can put it in your pocket. This piece is called The Sought After, and I put it in my portfolio because it got displayed in the Freer Sackler Gallery in Washington, D.C., and I thought that was really neat. So I did it for Teen Takeover Night, and it also showed like my connection to my heritage because it was about my feelings about being a mixed race kid. So basically the deeper meaning of this piece is this is all the traditional Asian food, and there's American food right at the top, and here's me is just looking at the American food and kind of like disregarding my heritage and my Asian food. So that's kind of what that means. This piece is called Confection, and it was basically to show colleges that I can do a very simple style too, and I really like the flat colors and the contrast between the kind of like very pastel-y flat colors and the white highlights. This piece was displayed, I made it for the Martin Luther King Jr. Remembrance, I think it was like for his birthday, but basically it was about diversity and inclusion and lifting the voices of minorities up and kind of like elevating them, and I made it after I saw Hidden Figures. I used a ton of mixed media for this. I used crayon for the background, I used watercolor for the three figures, I used fine liners to line them, What else did I use? Oh, I used some alcohol markers. This was not done on one piece of paper. I did the 3 figures on watercolor paper, and I cut them out and I pasted them onto this background that I just kind of like scribbled at. This piece is called Sunkissed, and it is one of my favorite things that I have created. It basically shows a continued theme that I have in my work of couples, and it was very self-indulgent. It was just like a gay couple because I am gay, so that is a lot of what I talk about in my work. I really like the idea of like reinventing kind of like historical myths, and so this is the myth of Icarus and how he flew into the sun, and Apollo is the sun god. So I was like, what if the sun god like cut Icarus? Oh, also I super like this piece's color palette, and I used really warm and golden tones to kind of capture like light and love and kind of like elevate homosexuality. I did have to burp. I drew this one based off of the Scrawlrbox prompt, so if you don't know Scrawlrbox, I wish they would sponsor me, honestly, but this is not a sponsor or an ad. Scrawlrbox is a art subscription box that sends you boxes of art supplies once a month, and they challenge you to create something with only the supplies in those boxes. So it was based on a prompt from them that said washed ashore, so I wanted to draw a sea turtle, and that's why I drew that. So my next piece is done in watercolor, and it is called Lovestruck. I basically did it because I wanted to add more diversity to my portfolio and show them that I could do realism with not just pencils, but also with watercolor. There's like lipstick marks all over my face to kind of convey the importance of self-love and learning to love yourself, and also it ties to lipstick lesbian because that was kind of an identity that I was like, am I this, am I not this? I did this in just pink tones. So this next piece is called Haven. It's also 9 by 12 inches, but it is a different way. And so I used watercolor as a flat base to kind of get a tone for my not canvas. I used my favorite color, pastel pink, and it is a drawing from life of my room. So I have a loft bed. I sat on the top of my loft bed, and I sat down with my watercolor paper, and I just freehand drew with an ink fine liner all that I saw of my room, and it took me 5-ish hours, like not a whole day, but also it was not quick. Well, I did something like this to let colleges know that I can do just like very clean lines, very simple shapes, and also that I can do life drawings of especially like architecture and stuff like that, and also to show them what I was passionate about and what I liked, which is being in my room by myself. This piece is called Caramel, and that is the name of my dog because it is a tiny little acrylic painting of my dog. I'm gonna do the beauty blogger thing. There you go. It's not really blended because I wanted to experiment with like a new style of acrylic paint, and I really like the color scheme. I used a lot of warm colors and kind of like reds and golden browns to kind of capture her essence, and she was napping, and I was like, she's so beautiful, I have to put her in. And I also put her in because I wanted to show colleges that I could do animals, so I can't. But okay, I really hate this next painting. I'm not going to talk about it a lot. I was watching a bunch of Bob Ross tutorials, and I was like, I can do that. I could not do that. So I went out and I got a lot of painting supplies and a palette knife, and I basically just messed around to show colleges that I could do landscapes and more of acrylic paintings. It was like 1 foot by 2 feet because I had this really big canvas that I wasn't doing anything with, so I was like, why not? I'll throw it up here if I have a picture of it. If I don't, you're just gonna have to live without it. It's super ugly. I don't like it now, but it kind of just showed them that I could do landscapes, and if I had the chance to do it over again, I would do it over. I would do a different landscape. So this next piece is called Anna 2019. That is the title. And it is pencil on paper, and it is a life drawing of my friend Anna. There she is. And so I just did this to show them that I can do life drawing of people, because all of the other life drawings that I did, I wanted to include them, but I didn't feel like they were really good. So this was after I knew that I was going to apply to college, and I was like, oh no, I need some more good life drawings. So I just asked her to sit down. This one was called Lifelines, and it was a digital piece, but it was made off of some traditional drawings. I did go to MICA's summer program. They had a session that was like, hey, if you want to learn how to life draw from nude figures, then come here because we have nude models. And so I did. They are naked. They're nude models. And I would definitely recommend, if you can, drawing nude models either from life or from reference. Go to like an art studio or something and maybe see if they have classes there that you can take. I went over them and I colored them to make them stand out from the background, and I kind of put them all together, and then I just made them like kind of a composite image, and I put that in my portfolio to show colleges that I can do nude drawings and also life drawings, and also to flex that I went to MICA's summer program. This next one was also a digital piece, but I have it printed out. It's called Things Aren't As They Seem. I also did this one at MICA's pre-college summer program, and it was for this assignment that was like editorial. So it's called Things Aren't As They Seem because that was the prompt, and so the things aren't as they seem is that she's a lesbian and he doesn't know about it. And this was also to show them that I could do like purely digital work, and I would also recommend including some digital work in your portfolio even if you don't think that you'll be doing much in the future, just because it really helps, and especially like in the real world you're probably going to have to do some digital work. My last piece that I put in my portfolio is called Patisserie, but I colored it with alcohol markers and fine liners, and then I scanned it in and I made it into a pattern. And because I did it in my summer program, the assignment was make a pattern, and they kind of showed us how to do that, so if I ever need to know how to do that in the future, I'm set. I do think that the pattern itself looks really cool, and it kind of also emphasizes the theme in my portfolio of desserts and kind of like luxurious, delectable little treats. So if any of you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. I will try to answer them as best I can. I applied early action to MICA, and I think what really helped is that I did go to their summer program, and I also expressed a lot of interest in them because I went to their portfolio day in Baltimore. You should all go. It's a very good time. I also think that another factor is it's not just your portfolio, but it is also grades. Art schools don't care about grades as much, but they do care. And I'm in the IB program, and I have taken a lot of AP tests and also a couple IB tests, and I will take so much more at the end of this year. And so one thing that I think really pushed me forward and helped me get in was the fact that I am just as rigorous academically as I am artistically. I also got a scholarship to each of them. I think from MICA I got a scholarship for going to pre-college, which is $3,000 a year, which is $12,000 over all of the years, and from I also got their Creative Vision Award, which was $13,000 for me, I believe, which is like $52,000 per year. I'm really happy with the amount of scholarships that I got from them, and I think there's more. They'll just be sending them later. And from SVA, when I got in, I got $20,000 in scholarships per year, so I think that's $80,000 for 4 years. I also got this fun little sticker sheet, so that's really cool. And then from Pratt, when I got in, I got $27,000 in scholarships annually, which is a big number that I'm too tired to calculate over 4 years. It's over $100,000, and I'm very, very thankful and very blessed from the bottom of my heart to have that. But I think that one big factor in why I did get all those scholarships was because of my paid illustration work. So I did do commissions, so if you guys can do that if you have time, that really helps to let them know that people are interested and people want to buy your art. So if other people can see the value of your art, then definitely colleges can too. And if you want to just get started in that, you can basically just start, like, I don't do commissions worldwide, I just did commissions for people that were near me so that I wouldn't have to worry about shipping and stuff like that. But if you want a video on like my commissions and me talking about that, then just let me know. Oh, my test scores weren't too bad. I think I got a 1430 on the SAT. I didn't take the ACT. But good luck to all of you who are applying or want to apply to art schools, and I hope that they send you fast decisions. And definitely submit your application as soon as you can. And I think I submitted in like September or November. It was like super early, and I heard back from all of them in December. I love all of you guys, and I hope that you guys get all of the scholarship money that you deserve. Bye!